Woohoo! Here we are live. Okay, welcome everybody. Hope you guys are going to enjoy this PulseX live, and of course we're going to cover Hex and a few other topics as well. So get into that. Let me just check the audio. We're running up a new setup, of course, on a new iMac. Was it 24-inch with the audio mic built in? So hopefully it's going to sound a lot better. I'm going to be able to look at this direction now, which is a lot better too. So let's see how that goes. Let me just double check that that's all running up there perfectly fine. So let me just make sure I've got that all running good. That's all right. So that's sounding really good, folks. And yeah, really cool. So welcome everybody. Hope you guys are going to enjoy yourself and get into the chat for sure. Let me just pull up the old chat thing there. The voice does definitely sound deeper, more crisp and clear. So very, very cool. Let's get into some of the comments here as we go. We got Pro Hexer in the house. Sorry, I must go to sleep. See you YouTube later when I wake up. It was a long night. I like your content every day. Hey, appreciate that. And of course, I said keep it open, yeah, for sure. And thanks, Pro Hexer. Sounds good. Keep well. Woohoo, says Alexa. Very, very cool. And finally, early to the party. Yeah, it's great to see you in early on, that's for sure. And Brendan's got the woohoo going as well. So a big shout out to all of you, you guys out there. Very cool. Ahmed's in the house. Hey, Ahmed, good to see you. Hello. And Brent, another 5,000 Hex top up today. That's pretty badass there, Brendan. Well done to you. And Taffrin's in the house. Very, very cool. And let me know if the audio sounds good and everything's looking great because it feels good. And I don't have any mics really. Don't even really need this. So I just want to listen to my other computer as I improve my setup. So very, very cool. Excellent there. It says, here we go. Absolutely. And getting double audio. Is that right? Yeah. So hopefully that's going to recover. Let me know if the double audio has gone there. Congrats on a new setup. Hey, very, very cool. And sorry, never mind. I had two tabs open. Oh, very cool. Phew. That had me on for there for a second, Pulsechain. And no, double audio here. Check your side. Yeah, absolutely cool. And great to see Alex K, our head moderator, in the chat. Always a pleasure. Alex is super, super knowledgeable about crypto. So great to have him in the chat. John Gibbons says, Mike sounds great. Bet you're enjoying the new machine. I am. It's one of those 24-inch models. You know, they've seen them around on TV with the fancy Apple ads. They're very light. You can pick them up and move them around. And apparently, I didn't even know this. So I got given it as a gift and for Christmas from one of my brothers. And I didn't even know it had an audio mic in it. It's just when I went online yesterday, or I think it was, and yeah, yesterday or the day before, and I just went to look at some reviews on the model. And then one of the guys said, oh, it's got the mic is actually an audio quality mic. And so I thought, oh, yeah, well, I'll test it out. So I did the daily video today with the new mic. So it seemed to be okay. Got some good feedback from there. I have had from time to time some people say that the PC mic, even this is a new one, can be a bit tinny on some people's systems. So it's great to have maybe a deeper, more thicker voice now on here as well. Maybe I sound just a little bit 1% like Crypto Heartbeat with a smooth radio voice. Very cool. All right, so nice. And we got Ivor in the house on the plane to Brisbane watching you live, bro. Hey, that's pretty cool. You might as well hook it into the main screen up there at the front. I don't know how they... I've been on a plane flight for a long time, so definitely do that. It's pretty cool. Hey, Ivor, a pleasure. And Hex Force is in the house. Nice setup. Hey, great to see that as well. Appreciate the Hex Force. And Alex Casey, been there, done that. And sounds good, says Alexa. Nice. Hello from the States, says Mazza. Hey, Mazza. Big shout out to you in the big USA. Man, oh man, it's like living in the States is like living in, what was it, 50 countries? It's pretty amazing. So nice. Millie says, love your content. Appreciate that. Hey, Millie. Woohoo. And Crypto Freedom's in the house. Let's go, Hexkins. You rock. Hex Token. Great job. And of course, Hex, PLX, building generational wealth. Woohoo. I love it. That's kind of a cool shout out as well. Ivor said you should clear like my COVID test, says Ivor. Yeah, nice one. And Hexillionaire says Aticias keep going up in the Hex terms. It's so hard to say liquid. You have to stake it to make it. Absolutely. And finally, Alex says this one sounds quite good. Nice. Appreciate that. So basically, I'm just speaking into the computer, and it's apparently it's got a studio mic in it. Seems to be working well. underneath the bottom of the computer is got sound speakers all the way, which is quite different with little ear pockets in it. So it's quite neat like that. So anyway, that's the new setup. Obviously, I'll continue to do improvements where I can, and yeah, it sounds great. So let us see. I don't know yet if I can double screen the Mac. I'm sure it's possible. So I'll see whether I can do that. At the moment, I've got my old PC secondary screen, the one that I actually can see with hooked up to my my Mac, which is down on the floor there. So with the screen that doesn't work. So very, very cool. All right, let's get into some of the action. We've got a couple of topics to talk about today, of course. Current price sitting at 19.9 cents. What happened? We're sitting at over 21 cents. We had a double increase over the last 2 days. And what happened? Well, you know what happened. Hex OGs are in the house. They just like selling down the price. So this is a different Hex OG from the last ones. We've had a couple other Hex OGs. So basically, these guys pick up Hex at the beginning, maybe $20,000 worth, $10,000 worth, $5,000 worth, and now they're all millionaires, right? So this is what we're going to have a look at. We're going to have a quick look at the whale bot, and then we're going to come back to the price chart and look at some of the TA. So this is what happened after the daily vid. So if you haven't seen the daily vid, go check that out. But this is what happened after that. We had 1.7 million Hex sold on the market. Now, this was a Hex OG. If you hit on that transaction, it's going to take you to this account here, and this is a Hex OG sitting on 227 million Hex. I mean, that's 46.5 million US dollars, and this is after he sold 1.7 million down. You can see that over here, and of course, this person picked it up through early January, and you have to find his original buys. You have to go through like 4 different ETH accounts all the way back, and which I've done, of course. And there we are. You're picking up 20 million Hex for $5,000 or something like that. This is what he's done here. So congratulations, obviously. But of course, this is just another Hex OG that's selling just a portion of their bags. And of course, this Hex OG does stake a reasonably amount of time. So you see stake start, stake ends, and stuff like that. But once again, this one here dwarfs the other one we saw the other day. The other one had 63 million Hex, and then had the rest of its stuff was staked out 2030. And of course, this one here has got 227. I didn't check to see what stakes they've got at the moment, but I think most of it's probably out if I'm right. But I mean, it is a bit of an assumption, but I'm just taking into account that this stuff here came out of some stakes that they had. So this is probably where they're at. And of course, let's see what they do. Are they going to stake short, medium, long? They're going to, keep investing in the Richard Heart ecosystem, or they're going to slowly average out. Once we do see other ones have already sold out, early XOGs, we do have to absorb their selling. That's just the reality. And obviously, there's many Hex OGs out there probably watching now that have some pretty big bags as well. So you do have to absorb that as time goes on. So I think maybe 4, 5, 6 years we'll start have probably get through most of these by that time. So it is a long journey. And so now that we entered into the 3rd year of Hex, it is early days. Obviously, they'll get a copy on Pulsechain, and it'll be interesting to see the play there. That's why we're going to expect a lot of FOMO. We're going to expect a lot of mass adoption, and that's going to be very, very helpful. We've already had the sacrifices with PulseX and Pulsechain. That's been very helpful, reducing supply. But of course, you need more buyers, so that's very cool. We've talked about a lot of buyers coming in, the Hex scale, lots of other trusts and investment vehicles coming in. Retail virality over the next 2 years looks incredibly more likely. And of course, what else? We've also got Funding Jim going out talking to billionaires and people over $20 million and doing that sort of stuff. So we could see them entering in the next 18 months, maybe sooner than later. And of course, all that stuff's going to play out. So we're going to let all that stuff play out. It's going to be pretty fascinating to see. And obviously, we'll have 2 tokens, Hex on Pulsechain, Hex on Ethereum. It's going to be pretty interesting stuff. And of course, some of these guys will sell up, sell out, and sell into it, and that opens it up for new investors. So that's pretty much we're relying with that. So I just thought I'd keep pulling these out as they come in, because it does. People go, why did the price go down? Well, now you know. As soon as someone sells that sort of amount, often you get many other sellers jump on the back of that as well. So if you jumped out of here, this is just a USD pair version 3. You can see that once they sell it, you get other people selling into it. 156,500 USD, 34,000. You see they jump in on the bandwagon as the price moves a bit lower. So The only thing to offset, of course, that is to get buyers coming in, spending some big money to get a hex position. So people that are fresh with fresh eyes come in, and of course they want a fresh position, and that's what you're looking at to offset. So just interesting stuff. And of course, we're just having to go through this at the moment as we go through before Pulsechain launches. Then Pulsechain is going to come, of course, and we're talking about potentially for hundreds of thousands, potentially a few million people in a short space of time, ramping up pretty fast. With mass adoption because of the biggest airdrop in history, because it's basically Ethereum, but Ethereum 3.0 kind of thing. And of course, the yield farming with the hundreds of thousands of people that will be attracted to that, it really is going to be ginormous. And of course, it's super cheap, super fast. So it is it's kind of, let me use, I won't use that analogy. It's basically just like a new ship, really, new technology. So it really is going to be cool. So that's the sort of thing coming on. And of course, that's going to help to distribute Hex and of course, also push Pulsechain and PulseX up. So it's going to be pretty interesting watching that. All right. Very, very cool. So let's get back into the full price there. We're going to jump out of, I'm going to just close those out as well. The other big thing that we've seen, we're going to come back in the chart. Let me just go back full screen on this chart. Hope the resolution's a lot better with the new Mac. It's a 4.5K Mac screen, whereas my old one was a full HD. So it should be a lot better from that point of view too. So it should be nice. Let me get into some of the comments before we move into some of the price. We're going to do some of the TA on there as well. Woohoo, says Marco. Hey, Marco, always a pleasure to see you. And wider market is down as well. ETH and BTC down, tested 40K. Yeah, so we're going to look at some of that too. And of course, that's a lot of that stuff's around the Federal Reserve. So we are going to talk about that topic towards the end of the live stream. Ova says, what's the difference in fees between Uniswap and PulseX? It is a huge difference. It is going to be huge. It's going to be, it's a non-point because, PulseX is going to be on Pulsechain and it's going to be super cheap. So if you're talking about the actual fee, 0.3 and 0.29 is the fee. But actually on version 3, of Uniswap, you can actually set a different token amount, different fee structures depending on how you want to set up version 3. But obviously, Uniswap and PulseX are based on PulseX is going to be based on version 2 because the licenses for version 3 won't be out until 2023. So that's the big difference there. I think that's what you're trying to get to. So yeah. Physiology says, I wonder if Sacrifice whales are trying to keep the other thing with version 3 on Uniswap, you can actually set liquidity on one side of the market depth there, so either the sell or the buy. So we're going to look at that actually because something big happened in the last a day and a half, and so we're going to check that out with the liquidity. If you notice, the price went up slightly, but the liquidity in US dollars went up huge. We're going to talk about that in a second. Zolly says, I wonder if Sacrifice whales are trying to keep the price down to maintain their position in the bonus multiplier. Well, there might be a bit of some of that, but I'd have to go back and check the ones that have been selling down to see whether they did, big enough sacrifices. We saw the whale that the Hex OG that sold the other day with the 63 million, sold a bit of that, 20 million of that. They actually put 10 million of that into the sacrifice. So they weren't, that particular one wasn't keeping the price down per se. So, if anything, they made their Hex less valuable because they did the sacrifice afterwards. So who knows? I don't know whether the price had risen since they actually sold down. So it'd be worth something checking out. Tom says, hey, Top Gun, new setup looks amazing. I didn't think a new computer make this much difference on a YouTube screen. Hey, that's fantastic feedback, Tom. Yeah, and I like the Top Gun hat for sure. It's one of my favorite movies as well. So very cool. I haven't actually seen the new one, the latest version of that one. Hex Zillionaire says, as T-shares become more scarce, OG Hexkins will be forced to start staking to maintain positions that will pump the Hex price hard. Get ready. Yeah, I actually think that they're actually going to lose, but there's going to be two chains. That's the other thing you got to take into account. It's easy to figure. But I think that, as I said, the share rate's riding. It's basically at 20,500 now. And this is actually offsetting them. So whenever some of these big OGs come out with their 730-day stakes from the beginning, they get 100% APR or whatever APY. The share rate gets readjusted so that they cannot beat the system, and that's where the share rate starts jumping up. That's why we saw that 250 Hex per T share rise the other day because of the big stakes coming out. Hexit, yeah. So it's they're going to get that's the other factor that they get. They lose their T-share position pretty fast. It's actually pretty fast if you think about it. Over time, we've seen a lot of other Hex OGs actually on live stream say, "Oh, I thought I was going to have. I did the strategy. I thought I was going to be able to restake and get as many T-shares or more, or maybe only slightly less T-shares, and they got a lot less T-shares. And of course, that's because everybody else, the global stakes, are coming out for all the big Hex OGs, and we've seen so much of that out of last year, and we can see that actually the staking ladder looks very different now. And so, looking forward, it's going to be really cool. The other side of it is that I think quite a few of the stakers from last year they've still got that have got it in circulating supply. So that's what we're seeing there as well. It's not many candles as well. So we're going to talk about that in a second too. Those are two of our topics. We're going to talk about Uniswap version 2 pool increase, and we're also going to talk about the stakes as well coming up in a second. Tony Chan says, "Woohoo! Love your work, informative, entertaining. I appreciate that. Almost going to bring out the Irish dance. You never know, Tony." Bearded Saints got the hearts out, nice. And let me have a look here. Yeah, so Ace Stockton, yeah, you aren't arguing about the Pulsechain fees. Yeah, I think he was asking about the actual trading fee on the trades. That's why I was answering that. I almost answered like you did on that one. Yeah, for swaps, says Ace Stock. Yeah, I said that the other day as well, Brazology. And Tony Chan says, I missed the PLS Sac. Would you suggest I get more of the PLX Sac and try and get some PLS somehow? Yeah, you can do that. I think there's quite a few people doing that. So that's we've already had polls and people have been wanting to do that. So that's a fair strategy. The only thing is that the ratios on the day really are an unknown. But obviously, I think that you're probably better to get a bit of pulse that way if you're wanting to pick up a position. But just take that into account. I'm actually looking to pick up more PulseX in the short term and Pulse in the slightly long term. So when I short term, probably 6 weeks or so is what I'm thinking. New Thing says, "Woohoo! Hey bro, hey, good to see you, New Thing, in house with the rockets and the thumb pumps, fist pumps." Yeah, I lost a lot of positions and wanted to get them back, so I was thinking they might want the same. And Brenton says, "Tony, I would wait on the sidelines with the dry powder, wait for a dip to buy them." Yeah, that's the other thing that I've talked about on this channel is that they keep some dry powder. There will be buying opportunities. Believe me, after the big FOMO, and that's going to last longer than normal. There will be price dips, and typically they're in the first 20-25 days. So you probably have a good chance of picking up some good deals on Pulse and PulseX potentially. So particularly PulseX, because PulseX doesn't have any staking at this stage. And of course, we'll see what the DAO does with that once Richard gives us more details about the DAO. And that's definitely something we're going to see. But the buy and burn obviously is way better on the PulseX if you just do the numbers by a long shot. Remember, Pulse is going to be super cheap, even though it's going to be lots of transactions. We saw that on Uniswap. There's about 1.3 million transactions per day on Polygon Matic, which is a second layer of Ethereum with super cheap fees, more similar to the way Pulsechain is going to be. There's 2 to 4 million transactions, but the value is so much cheaper. You're talking about a couple $1 million versus hundreds of millions of dollars on Uniswap. So it's a very different environment, and the value is very different. And value drives the price ultimately. FOMO will get you so far, but it's really that buy and burn value of PulseX that's really going to drive PulseX price. The only offset of that is not doesn't have the staking, whereas you have the staking on Pulse with the validators and liquid loans and potentially other dApps as well. So it's going to be interesting to see any other solutions come into the PulseX side of it. It's going to be interesting to see whether some staking comes in that. Maybe the DAO staking with the incentive token gives something like that. We'll see how that plays out. Hex Holder says everything is dumping. Yep, and that's that Federal Reserve really shocking the market with the pullback in money supply. That's it. It's just about money printing and the interest rates. So that's probably what's doing it. Hexillionaire says more Bitcoin FUD is never ending. And I think you're spot on. It only makes sense to me that they wouldn't want to hurt their position on the multiplier. Yeah, well, you just need to show when the timing of that happens. I'm sure there's some of that going on, but I think a lot of the stuff I've seen so far has just been Hex OGs coming out of stakes and selling down a bit of the position, because now they're millionaires. Some of those 720-day stakes has changed things a lot. Just seems to be the timing. We did have all that staking coming out through 2021 into early, very early 2020. too. And so yeah, I think it's a bit of that going on. Plus with the Pulsechain being a bit delayed, offers some opportunity for people to sell down as well. And they're probably sitting on the sideline. Some of them send it off to centralized exchanges. Some of them probably sitting on the sideline with it, waiting to see if the price even goes lower so they can pick up bigger bags. Some of them might be want bigger bags so they can actually buy on Pulsechain when it launches, having that huge dry powder, being able to pick up any dips. So it's going to be lots of stuff like going on. Smash the likes, people. Absolutely smash the like, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell, of course. If you're watching this after the live stream, get in the comments. I will respond to those. Very, very cool. And looking nice. So, all right. So, Exillionaire says the game theory built into Hex is playing out in real time. It's so interesting. Yeah, I agree with that, but it has been supercharged with the Pulsechain, and PulseX has brought it forward dramatically. So just take that into account as well. But the share rate is working as desired. It really is changed the game from that sort of point of view. Better Saint says BTC diving off the cliff. Yep, I might actually pull it up. I don't know if I've got that one up at the moment. Let me pull that up at the moment. So we've got Ethereum at $3,030. So really getting hit there, but still holding on to that mark there. Gwei is at 268. Can you believe it? I actually saw it at 68 earlier this morning, my time. A couple of hours ago, it was sitting at 68, something like that. So really is crazy. And Panic showing here. Brendan says, can you do the haka when Pulsechain mainnet is live? Yeah, maybe I might try that one, Brendan. Very, very cool. Actually, yeah, I've got a story about that, but we'll leave it for another day. Late to the stream. If you haven't already, could you explain effective total on the PulseX lead site? Yeah, well, we're going to go through all that shortly. Just going through some of the comments, almost up to date, folks. Grant says, do penalties get paid out when your stakes end? Yeah, so your penalties and interest all get paid out when your stake ends. You're got to claim the stake though, or unstake it. Penalties from other early end stakes. Yeah, so there's penalties from other early end stakes. Penalties from the late end stakes. Hexillionaire says the Fed can't raise rates. Let us sell off as a buy opportunity for DCA. Yeah, that's right. So I agree with you there. I think they're boxed in the corner. At the moment, it's a lot of bravado. How many are they going to do? 2, 3 rises? We'll see. Really, it's going to damage. I said to that they're not in a winning position. They're in a lose-lose position. I really don't see they can do much other than damage the economy and trade off for the and the markets. So ETH 2,800. I've still got 3,300 on here. Let me have a look. Oh yeah, 2,800. So I just refreshed the screen. Sorry, it is 2,800. So it has just fallen off the cliff there. So with the refresh, so that's pretty dramatic. That's just happened. So thanks for giving me the heads up on that, Prince of Pulse. Nice, that's a cool name, by the way, Prince Pulse. Alex Fame says stacking your bags this early, only way to go up is up, baby. Yeah, so that 2,800 is a bit of a shock. That's really hitting the system. A good thing that Hex is 85% more or less in USDC. That really does help, and obviously that's a big deal. So Hex is still holding up relatively good from that point of view. Obviously, really the trigger was that big sell from the whale, but we'll see how we get on. Hex typically likes to do its own thing, so we'll see. Sometimes it does follow immediately, and then it does its own thing. The other thing, of course, is that the offset for Hart's law is the fact that if crypto goes down, then some people might sell Hex if they're still relatively high to buy a lot more ETH and other stuff real cheap, so they get a lot more of it, right? But the counter to that, of course, is that you're then risking yourself on a market that's going down, and so you may actually end up losing a lot more value, even though you picked up more ETH or more of this or that. So you've got to take that into account. There's quite a bit of offsets, and once it goes down, you could actually lose out, and it's better to keep to the benefits of Hart's law in a sense. So yeah. All right, let's have a quick look at the price here. Basically up to date on that. So we're going to have a look at the chart there. So holding up, fairly well still. 18 cents, 18.90 cents is that sort of support defend line. We've got that here. You can see it all across there. So very, very cool. We actually put in some. This is because I'm on a new screen. I've got none of the old support lines loaded. So just take that into account, and we're going to thicken that up. And we'll change that to orange. You know how me, I like my orange. And so yeah, so that there is pretty much, I think, that 18 cents is actually 18.6. So let me just drop that down. Yeah, so this sort of defend line here is where we want to just defend in there. And yeah, we've got lots of stuff here. I'm going to probably queue this chart up another time, but if we actually put up our nice little triangle here, we've got this going on. Oh, I hadn't finished that one there. So we've got this playing out. So we're heading towards this way. Really want to bounce off there. So looking good. If we hold this line, that's going to be cool. Actually, I've got to keep going there. So nice. Let me just make sure that's nice and even. So we really need to defend the 16.5 line, bouncing off here. But like I say, it does look a lot like these other patterns in the past. We were moved up there and pulled down and moved up. It does kind of look like that, moved up and then off to the races. So obviously we've got quite a lot of these things, like I say, Hex OGs that were 10,000s now worth millions, and they're the ones that have created these red candles here. 1, 2, 3. So even this one up here. So there's some interesting stuff going on there. All right, very, very cool. And Craig says, woohoo! Hey, Craig, good to see you in the chat. Very, very cool. And ETH going down faster than a cheesecake at a Jenny Craig's convention at the moment. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. And Brendan says, haha, nice, Craig. Yeah, Craig comes out with those cool one-liners. Very, very cool. All right, so let's have a quick look. We're going to come back to the ETH market. I'll probably pull up Nomics or something like that, even though a lot of people don't like Nomics. I'll probably pull that up to have a look at that. It's better than going to CoinGecko in some ways. So there we are. So we'll come back down there. And the green is the buyers. The red is the sellers. And, of course, the orange there is the signal line. And at the moment, the sellers obviously still got control there. And the buyers are down as well. So we just got to wait for this to turn around. It's sort of a battle going on there, as we can see it zigzagging across. So we'll watch out for that. This is on the DMI. And then, of course, the other cool one, I've just got 2 of the indicators here, is the RSI. And that's been coming down too. We're down to about 42, but not too far below 50. So we'll see what happens there. We are in a bit of a negative let's call it a local bear period at the moment with these Hex OGs. We'll see whether they stop selling and give us a chance to get some positive buying, which we did have. Yesterday we had a nice green candle. So yesterday was a nice green candle. We did have positive buying momentum at that stage. It's going to be a bit of a battle, folks, especially in this climate. So cool. Let us have a look here. I just wonder whether we're going to get, maybe two, maybe 3 price cycles this year in terms of the Hex. And, of course, it's really unknown. We're entering such unknown territory. With a Hex on Pulse and Hex on Ethereum, it really is difficult to get a good price prediction. We can sort of do an aggregate valuation, but it really is difficult to make good assessments on that. Yeah, $2,839 on the ETH, 190 Gwei. So we'll see how that is. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the big news. So this is Uniswap. This is Hex on Uniswap. And, of course, we've got the trading volume in the last 7 days, 50 million in trading volume in the last 7 days on this one. Up to 2%, 6 million in the 24-hour period. Let's have a look here. So we've got Hex USD at the top here, 44.8 million in there. ETH is at 4.4. And let's scroll down a bit further. I just wanted to look at the actual ads. So if you look down the ads, this is people that have added liquidity. And, of course, this is version 3. So they're able to do it on just one side. We saw a day ago, just over a day, we saw this account here, 16F4, with 12 million USD. That's 24 million USD come in to increase the pool on the USD. And we saw that on the daily vid when we looked at Hex daily stats, that the pool had really increased massively. Let me just pull that up, actually. Hex daily stats. And I hope you like my picture. Look at the graphics on this now. So much better look at that color. That's beautiful with the 4.5K. Loving it. It's just coming to you and probably on a shorter period, but it's pretty nice. So I'm really loving the new Mac. That's iMac's pretty cool. We looked at the pool. We're going to quickly look at the liquidity in the pool that we had at the end of day 780, because we're in day 781 now and on the Hex days. And, of course, we had this big increase. Like the price only went up a little bit, but we ended up getting our liquidity in USDC jumped to 441.2 million US dollars. And that appears to be what's happened here, is that these two lots of USD, $24 million USD, came in, and they were converted from DAI. They were converted from DAI. Now, someone suggested in a comment after the daily vid that they thought that had come from the actual PulseX Sacrifice address. Now, I haven't been able to confirm that myself, but do leave a comment if you have any idea about that. I wasn't able to confirm it myself, but that maybe the PulseX Sacrifice that's come from a Sacrifice address, which is part of the Origin account family, really, if you think about it. So interesting stuff there. Definitely came in to support Hex liquidity. But why in particular did it do that? So just to bolster it up and give it a bit more strength. Looking forward to your comments on that for sure. All right, so that was pretty interesting, and let's jump over to the stakes. We talked about the stakes bringing out. I think there's quite a bit of stuff stakes that were last year that are still sitting in OG accounts. I think we've seen that stuff, a bit of that stuff, obviously, as some of it hits the market. But really, the staking in the next 6 months looks really, really, really breaking up. But there's still some big bags. And as long as we get more buyers and sellers, which I'm pretty confident we're going to get more buyers ramping up, especially after Pulsechain, I think that's going to be humongous as we get, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people coming in. And if the bear market's coming into the general crypto market, they're going to be all looking for something great. And of course, they're getting a big airdrop, big yield farming, and of course they'll be excited. Hey, this is the big thing on the market. The market generally might be the traditional crypto market might be generally struggling or into a bear market decline, but Pulsechain, PulseX, and obviously Hex on Pulse offering something of a huge a wild west frontier, as it were. So I think that's going to give them a lot of excitement to come in as well as the fundamentals of the tokenomics and everything. So I think that looks pretty good. Alex Frame says if anyone's selling the Hex PulseX, I'd be more than happy to pick up those bags without even thinking about it. Are you kidding me? Hashtag nice one, Alex. I agree with that. And LMNO agreed. Hex in here. I believe the Fed can't raise rates, or barely can, as the cost of interest is so high with that an anti-growth political party in office. Printing money is the only game. Yeah, I agree with that 100% there, Liberty. And Mr. Hex says ETH sucks. Yeah, it does. I think it's showing that for sure. Hey, the price of Hex just hit 20 cents again. Yes. Woohoo. We'll give it the old woo pump for that. Very, very cool. And Brendan says, don't we all? Yeah, absolutely. And Alex K says, Hex OG has become a dirty word these days. Funny. Remember, in Bitcoin, every wallet was liquid and able to sell at any time. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I'm not particularly saying it as a dirty word. I'm just making the observations that a lot of the sell downs are from Hex OGs who have become millionaires. It's simple as that. That's just what it is, right? So it's all good. If people make big money, that's great. All for that. So it's just an observation of what are the drivers sending that particular candle down. Happens to be in Hex OG coming out. That's just what it is. The thought of selling before the copy, I would find that truly sickening. Yeah, this is the other thing, is that a lot of them obviously missed that out. Maybe they've got other goals to do with that. Maybe they're hedging some of the US dollar amounts. They're worried crypto is going to go down. There's lots of that stuff going on at the moment as well. So, there's a few factors why people do sell. And Hex Illinois says, thank you, liberty or death. I'm a realist, and in America, it's bad. The Fed is screwed. They can't. It's talk up rates is all they want. It's just talk. Yeah. So they've obviously got more hawkish, but there is what can they actually do in reality without hurting a lot of other stuff? They're just going to hurt the U.S. economy, which is already struggling, and they're also going to hurt, with unemployment, production, all that sort of stuff, it's just really hurting on a lot of fronts. The energy, obviously, everything like that's going to inflation. Getting food in the food shops, petrol, price of petrol, or gasoline, as you might say in America. Very cool. When is the Pro microphone coming? Says A Stockton. Hey, I've got a Pro. I got a studio mic in the computer at the moment. That's what we're using. Everyone else said it's going pretty good. Alex K says nice quality screen makes a big difference in the quality of life. Yeah, that's true. Hex Huddle says you must have dumped the Hex for the iMac. Lol. No, the iMac that's funny, but the iMac was a present from one of my brothers. So cool. Liberty says when the world realizes that the Fed has to hold rates down and print more money, assets will skyrocket by the dips. FUD equals food. Time to eat. Yeah. That's right. Excellinaire says sometimes people have to sell, but I agree, Smog. Who would want to sell before receiving the hex copies to Pulsechain unless you are forced to? Yeah, like I say, you know, when you go from having tens of thousands, you have stakes come out for 730 days, and suddenly they come out and you're a millionaire. You're going to sell a bit of that down. If you also think the crypto market's a little bit squeezy, you might sell a bit of that down. So, you know, and it's just a bit. So these guys are just typically selling a bit, although I thought the first one that came out that day was quite a lot. Exilian says sometimes people have to sell, but yeah, I think I read that one. A Stock says Exilian, a $4 million US cash would be nice, and he will make it back in a couple of years of interest. Yeah, that's true. That's a very good observation. Exactly. It's just a talk to try and show the self-inflicted inflation. The only way to protect yourself from them stealing your wealth with inflation is to buy cryptos like Hex. That's right. So Hex, obviously, if you do the, a 6-year average staking ladder with your investments, then, you know, you're looking at around, 39, 40%. So it's fantastic, right? It's a great way of offsetting inflation. Inflation is creeping up. I think Canadian inflation was like 4.5%. US inflation is like 5.5%, I think, and creeping up still. So it really is a good idea. That stuff could actually get much higher, so we'll watch out for that. Exillionaire says, it's nice to be an OG. I wish I was one. We're still early. We are still early. So when I'm talking about the OGs, I'm just talking about what's driving the price. I'm not saying, you know, I think it's great. People, that's what crypto is about, you know, making those big profits. So, and making good returns and stuff like that. So very cool. Exillionaire says, it's nice to be an OG. Yeah. Alex says, patience is our most powerful weapon. That's it. It's your time in the market, not the timing of the market. That's where traders try to time, or people try to time. Timing is very important. If you got it right, that's true, but it's always very hard to get timing right. So time in the market is the better play. And Prisology says patience and a tactical nuke launcher. That's true. That's true too. Alex Fame says Crypto Heartbeat had an interview with Justice Hill. It's also must watch. He's a Hexkin, a running back for Baltimore Ravens. Wow. Yeah, I did see that. I haven't actually watched the interview. I did see that. It's pretty cool. It's so good having famous sports people in the United States, in particular in Hex. So very nice about that. Smog, yep, it's also bizarre how a few of them now how to use limit orders. True. And Crypto Token says if the Fed raises rates, it will trigger a depression and budget crisis, interest on national debt. Yeah. Well, we do know that this printing's been going on for a long time. I mean, you could argue all the way back to 2008 with the Great Recession. So it is a long time in the making. This could be that, you know, you got to be careful about that too. And correction, Crypto Heartbeat, all good. Excellent says expect further currency debasement. It's sad to watch, but protect your family, buy and stake Hex, mint your own money. I love that Excellent. Yeah, what a great phrase that is. Yeah, so true. And A says, do you think Hex will go back to 12-16 cent range due to current market crash? No, Hex is pretty resilient. Even though we've got these some Hex OGs selling out at the moment, I still think that, like I say, Pulsechain's coming, PulseX is coming. So I think it's unlikely. Is it impossible? No, but I think it's unlikely we'll go down to 13, 14 cents. I think the 16, 18 cents probably the bottom of the range at this stage, and you can sort of see that much there. So we'd have to go back down to here. Let me just full screen that. We'd have to go down to here with what you're talking about. So I don't think we're going to go back down to there. It's possible, but I just don't think we're going to do it. So I think 16, 18 cents would be the bottom. We'll see. It's really down to the Hex OGs selling those big amounts. Let's have a look here. Time is ticking, of course. We're looking at we've still got over a month to go. It's a long time in crypto. So we'll see how we get on before Pulsechain is expected at this stage. And let me just bat in the chat. Almost caught up to the chat there, folks. And Hexy says, yeah, I used my stimulus on crypto. Yeah, that's fantastic. I know that people that have used their stimulus checks have done super well, particularly in Hex. So congrats. And Hex, yeah, that's probably a better one. Liberty says, because I wasn't a BTC maxi or subscribed to just one token, I got in Hex day one, and throughout the early days, I have many cryptos that have done very well. Stay open-minded and do your homework. Hey, well said, Liberty, and congrats on getting in so early and doing so well. Hex Hodl says, Miss Shiva, love baby Dodge. It says on your screen. Well, yeah, right. Yeah, that's just an ad. I can't get rid of that, I don't think. Hexy Kachun says, I said the ad also locked. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, there it scrolls up. How about that? I've scrolled that out. There we are. You not see the ad now. So yeah, let's have another refresh because I want to see what the ETH price is doing. And we're going to jump over to some of the. We're going to get over to the main event, which is PulseX. But I did want to start off with Hex because so much has happened really as well. So cool. All right, so we talked about the liquidity. That was pretty interesting, That 24 million was DAI too, which is what the PulseX has been using. So, but I haven't yet found the associated transactions. I went quite across it too. Didn't find it. So cool. All right, let's get into PulseX and let's do a refresh because we're doing so good at this. And so $941,877,760 on the ETH chain so far. This is just Ethereum and very, very cool. Let us scroll down. The sacrifice rate will increase by 5% in 20 hours. And a current rate is 10,000 points for $1.80. So $1.80 for 10,000 points. Now that's 80% higher than it was before, but that's still a really good rate. And here's the argument as follows, because you can see the curve's going to keep going up. And people are going to keep sacrificing all the way up. I still think this is pretty cool. And the other, of course, thing is if you think it's going to pump big, then that's a pretty good rate. So it's going to be pretty fascinating. The other side, of course, is that, the cheapest price, the most expensive price that people got back when it was 10,000, was 0001. So that's, even if you had $500, it's close to that too. If you sacrifice $500, so it's going to be interesting to see the price after that. So this is where we're going at the moment. It's going to be obviously 10x times higher by the time we get out to day 25 on the 25th of February, I should say, day 58, 59. So long way to go. Looking good. Very, very cool. So after the Pulsechain mainnet releases, sacrifices will be able to access their free PLSX tokens on the Pulsechain. Just remember, I only read that out because of people that are new to PulseX. They wonder sacrifice, but what do I get? Well, you're going to get PLSX free on the Pulsechain's blockchain when it launches. Currently, the earliest date we're expecting is March, but it could be April. You never know. So we'll see about that. Very, very cool. All right, let's jump over to PulseX.info. If you want to do some sacrificing, this is the main account. This is most people sacrificing this on Ethereum or any compatible chain like Binance Smart Chain, Polygon Matic, Avalanche, Ethereum Classic. So any Ethereum compatible chain, you can sacrifice that address. Typically good tokens, ETH, BNB, Matic, AVAX, etc. Stable coins you can sacrifice. If you want to sacrifice to other chains like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, follow the instructions down here. You can also tag your Ethereum address so that you get your airdrop. It shows up on that address. So very, very cool. Follow the instructions, step 1, 2, and 3. If you're doing the other chains, very easy to do. Otherwise, you're basically just sending some tokens from your address on Ethereum or these other chains to this address. It's pretty easy just to send, just like you'd send to your friend. It's only sending to the sacrifice address. So that's pretty cool. All right, I do have some videos. I think I've got 1 or 2 videos in the video description that shows you how to do that. I think we've got one from Hodl Dog and one from, I think we've got one from Hexologist. I haven't checked that recently, but I think that's where the other one is. So you can check out some videos there. All right, let's do a refresh. This is on PulseX Lead as a third-party DApp, but it gives so much good information on the PulseX Sacrifice. So we're going to have a check that out. So this includes not just Ethereum like the official site does, pulsex.com, but it also includes Binance Smart Chain. So those are the 2 main sacrifices. Very, very cool chains that people are sacrificing on. So 985, almost 986 million US dollars. And of course, we're well over $1 billion now. Maybe we're at $1.10 billion or something like that. $1.10 billion, something like that. But that's our total at the moment. And I will get an updated total when I get my new spreadsheet in, because obviously I haven't hooked that up yet into this new computer. But I'll get that added up so we have pretty accurate totals based on all the information that we know. So cool. The estimated sacrifice points. This is new, folks. This is pretty cool. And a lot of people ask how much. Someone asked yesterday how much PulseX tokens will it be in the supply. Well, it's currently 16.9 trillion. You heard me right, 16.9 trillion. Now that compares so far to Pulsechain, which has somewhere between 135 and 150 trillion PLS or Pulse tokens. So PulseX is currently at 16.9, but of course the Pulsechain includes the origin account sacrifices. We're expecting those to come in to get controlling supply over the project. So still expecting that to happen. Last time in Pulsechain that happened during the 1.75 flat rate and the last 3 days. Obviously this time we've got the last 5 days. So it's probably expected to come in at that stage and probably soup up something like 85 to 90% of supply. So this will get inflated. So we could end up with, I don't know, maybe 200 trillion tokens. We'll see what happens, see exactly what happens there as well. So it's some idea there. So pretty cool. But in the public, this is the public number, 16.9 trillion. Very, very cool. All right, so let's have a look at the totals here. The top, we've still got 7 in the top. We've got over $10 million. We've got 7 accounts still. Doesn't look like it's changed too much there. Very, very cool. We've got some new columns though. Look at this. This is pretty cool. So sacrifice dollars, effective sacrifice dollars, and a multiplier estimate. So these are all new columns. So very hats off to Game System 10 who provides this down the bottom here. He's the one who provides this information. If you want to give a donation, it's up at the top right there. I like to shout out because, you know, do this for free and we get to use it every day. So it's pretty nice. Multiplier estimate 2.5 to x 2.425. Great to have that on there. So we've got the multiplier estimates on there and the sacrifice points estimate. Remember, his estimate is 1 trillion 180 million Pulse sacrifice points. Of course, we understand that this is Rackham's sacrifice here. And of course, the second one is the Hex God whale sitting in second here. So there are a couple of well-known whales down here as well. And so very, very cool number of points there. Imagine having a trillion pulse as well. So very, very cool. And of course, you got the links here to the transactions. Very nice. So some good stuff there. Let's have a look at the top 100. Also, we're going to scroll down and have a look at the top 100 here. So to get in the top 100, you need pretty much 1,028,000 US dollars to get on that. Very nice. So that's to get in the effective one, those effective rates. And of course, let's have a look at the Magic Carpet Ride team. This is a team like a pool or a syndicate where people voluntarily opt to go in and sacrifice with the team. They also run a YouTube channel. Has been pretty entertaining and insightful, perhaps, to see how they've gone with this. And they are sitting, oh, wow. They are sitting at, well, based, I guess it's based on this number here, but they're sitting at number 21. So very, very exciting for them. And they've got 3.8 million on the effective and 4.1 on the sacrifice. So pretty cool. What are they looking at? 82.7 million PulseX tokens. Wow. They've got small investors, big investors. They are basically working together as a pool. I'm in a small pool, but it's a very small one. These guys are in a very big one with a huge following on Telegram. So apparently over $4 million now on the PulseX Sacrifice, and apparently they're almost at 600,000 for the liquid loan sacrifice, which is to come out to be launched soon. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see them play that. They'll probably be a big player, actually a big sacrificer in the liquid loans. It's going to be interesting to see how liquid loans does actually in terms of total amount that they raise in that. Let me know in the chat if you have an opinion of how well liquid loans will do in their sacrifice. They also have a third component in their sacrifice. You get bonus based on how long you're willing to delay gratification. In other words, to get those tokens with the, I think it's a 2x bonus on the amount there. So interesting stuff. That's to get circulating supply off the market to help pump the price. So interesting stuff there. So that's the top 100. Let's have a look at the top 500. Hey, we've got a lot more categories now. Obviously, we've got 116,000 wallets now that we have ETH and Binance Smart Chain. So it looks like the dev's been adding a new couple of features that I haven't even noticed. The only one I noticed so far at the beginning was the total amount of sacrifice points because I hadn't gone through the website myself. So that's pretty hilarious. So top 500. We've had this probably, I think, for 4 days now with the Binance Smart Chain added. So top 500 is over 201,000 US dollars to get there. And let me have a look at the top 1,000. Top 1,000 is hey. The good thing is with this new iMac 24-inch with the M chip in it, I'm not having to worry about my computer overheating. Of course, it's summer here, quite hot, and the computer just not making any noise whatsoever. So it's really quite cool from that point of view. So am appreciating that, because remember I always have to take my speakers off my PC mic just to make sure that I could hear the thing, how high it was overheating, and so that was pretty funny. All right, so the top $100,809 or 103 on the sacrificed amount. Very, very cool. And let's have a look at the top 5,000. That's typically what we do. So we're not going to go any further than the top 5,000, even though there's more options. Let's have a look here. So top 5,000. Oh, man, we're almost at 20,000. My gosh, we're so close. I'd say it was a good chance it would happen. So 19,996. We are just a couple of dollars away from $20,000 to get in the top 5,000. That is some crazy stuff. That's really, really neat. And remember, the top 1,000 actually control something like 75% of all the supply. So, and I said to people who are smaller investors and not in that group, don't worry too much, because that's actually very good. Big whales in there will buy whales that sell out. Big sharks will buy big sharks that sell out. You're going to get that sort of stuff. So actually, it's quite a good thing at the time. We're up, 116,129 wallets is pretty mad cool. So we've got other categories: top 10,000, top 20, top 50, top 100. So we're not going to look at those ones. I think the top 5 is probably fine. But obviously, the links in the video description if you want to check it out. PulseX.ly.com. Very, very cool. Let's have a look here at the totals for the actual buy token now, rather than buy wallet. We're going to have a look at token. We are sitting at a 2,150,000,000 Hex sacrifice. Regardless of some of the circulating supply out there at the moment, that is off the market now, and that is amazing. $551 million off the market, and imagine market buying that on Uniswap. You just couldn't do it, right? Because only about, as I say, there's only about if we go to Hex Daily Stats, there's only at the end of day 780 a couple of hours ago, there were only 132.7 million X on sale in Uniswap altogether. And you know that as soon as you buy with the US dollar, it goes up by a square of the value. So it's just not going to happen. There's also not much in the Uniswap for doing T-shares either. I think you're looking at maybe 6,000 T-shares or something, maybe 7,000 tops if you bought everything. And you can't even do that, right? Because you drive the price up, as I say. So it really is crazy. We see bigger stuff going from OGs restaking than you can get in Uniswap. So there really isn't a lot on Uniswap. So most of the action that we're seeing is from big Hex OGs playing with their big bags, either restaking, selling a little bit, this or that. So that's what we're seeing at the moment, moving stuff around. And so we're going to have some issues there. Obviously, this boost in the liquidity pool is actually quite helpful too for bigger accounts coming in and out of the system. So that's probably positive too. All right, let us go and let's have a look. Where was I going there? PulseX lead. I just forgot where I was there for a second. So this is fantastic stuff. It means that it's off. It's in the sacrifice address. It's going to be off on the ETH chain and off the supply, the circulating supply on the Pulse chain as well, because the sacrifice account's basically part of the Origin account family, and that's pretty much that. So pretty cool. So let's have a look at we're at 225.9 million Ethereum. We're at 105 million USDC. Crazy good. 45 million USDT. And BUSD at 16.2 million on BSUSD. I noticed that on this resolution, before we had the BSC highlighted in pink or something, that's gone. So it looks like he's normalized all the fonts there. We've got BNB at 13.5, DAI at 5.8, Matic at 4.7, Bitcoin at 3.4, and Shiba at 3 million is pretty cool. So this is like, if you're thinking about different tokens you want to sacrifice, here's some good list of stuff you can go and sacrifice there as well. So very nice results. Very cool. Let's start. So these are the live results, folks. And let's go check out the stats and look at the day's results for the sacrifice days 23. Now, I did cover this briefly in the daily update video. And of course, here we are. We did a $3,460,000. That was day 23. And of course, that is down from yesterday, 6.3 or 6.4 million, but still pretty good day for sacrifice. 3.5 million is a pretty good day so far. And of course, currently we're at 451,000. And as we say, we've got about 20 hours to go before the day ends. So looking pretty good there too. All right, so the totals amount, of course, the purple here was Pulsechain sacrifice, which we ended at 670 $1 million US. And of course, on top of that would have been, I think we were at something like 730, 750 with non-ETH sacrifices. Of course, Pulsechain, PulseX itself blitzed that at 944 million. And yeah, not sure if these are being recalibrated for the BSC chain, but we're definitely, let me have a look at this number. I think they have been recalibrated, but we blitzed that in any case on the day. I'll probably have to go back and check my original video for that balance. But here we are at 986 million US dollars on ETH and BSC. So pretty amazing on day 24 so far. And of course, day 23 ended up with 985.5. So we're obviously up another 500,000 on that. Very cool results for day 23, I think. And of course, we got day 58, 59 to go. So we're a long way to go. That's how far we got. We got a long 30, was that 35 days or something, 34 days to go in this sacrifice. So we've still got patience. We need patience. Pulsechain's coming, PulseX is coming. We just need patience as that goes as well. Now, I don't have the timeline on this computer, which I've been talking about, which is custom to this channel, but I will pull that up at sometime as well. Let's have a look at the PulseX rate. Before we do that, let's get in a few of the comments in the chat just so I don't get too far behind. We've got Smog in the house. More people should follow your lead and send tips to media outlets regarding Richard's projects. I've only done one so far, but should do more. Yeah. So yeah, I sent out a tip off to CNBC. They don't appear to have picked that up, but I will do another one as well. So that's a good idea, Smog. John, yeah, get out there and send some little press releases. They can just be short. Send them to different business news outlets, crypto outlets, and let's get try and get some push through on those places in terms of how successful this has been and how different it is from a traditional capital raise and the security laws potentially. So cool. Thanks as always. Any news on Hex Scale timeframes? So yeah, Hex Scale, the private side has already launched. That launched at the end of December technically, but in practice, it probably doesn't ramp up till mid-January, which we've already passed, of course. So I imagine that they've already had interviews on their Mountain website. So Mountain investors. So I think they've already had interviews with some Hexicans who are quite wealthy. I think Hexologist has been in that as well, been interviewed as what's the other guy? Wales Only. They've actually used their own service there, so it does seem to be picking up pace there. And of course, they've got a distribution, private distribution of over 1 billion that they've got access to. That will be trying. They've got private targets they're going to reach first, and of course, they're still working on the public trust side, which may get listed on Nasdaq or something. And they've got an expert in that field that hopefully will fast track that. So we haven't heard any news on that part. And there's also another product that's coming out. We haven't heard anything about that. Kinetics teased that today. He just revealed that there's another product coming out as well. He didn't say what it was, but he teased about it. It's to be around the investment area from the sounds of it. So yeah, still ramping up. That's going to take probably a couple of months to ramp up. It could happen faster. We'll wait for Kinetics. He hasn't really given us much more than what I've said on our live stream so far. And I do watch him very keenly for any tips as I watch this video today to try to pick something up there too. He did a video today on Mad Energy. Yeah, so they were talking about that. So John Gibbons says, thanks as always. Yep, always. So Hexillionaire says, arbitrage Hex by borrowing at 0% on your credit cards and buying and staking Hex at 38%. It's just an idea. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty hard to get 0% interest rate cards over here, but maybe that's possible somewhere around the world. Maybe US has something like that. Nijian says, I sacrificed through Polygon and PulseX lead. Includes Polygon network too. The sacrifice through Polygon and PulseX leads includes Polygon too. I don't know if typically it was just BSC. Let me just go back to there. I don't know if he's added that in. Let me have a look. Yeah, I'm going to refresh this. Oh yes, it does. Okay, it does. Okay, so that's a big point there. Very cool. So thanks to Nishian about that. So I missed that when I logged on. So tracks Ethereum, Binance, and Polygon now. So that actually includes Polygon, specifically Ether, BNB, Matic, and the rest of the tokens listed there on your chains. So very cool. Okay, glad I actually missed that. So I do apologize. Very cool. So wow, Polygon's in there too. Wow. That's so good. Okay, so very cool. So those are the big chains: ETH, BSC, and Polygon, and of course Bitcoin is big too. The Bitcoin sacrifice. So those are the big ones there. So we've got 4 big ones there on there now. Nice. And Hex Hodl says, good thing all who sacrifice their crap coins before they dump, lol. Yeah, that's true. Man, they're lucky. And that's Richard was calling them that. He's saying, sell your coins. So he's been right about that, except for one day. Remember, except for one day. He's been right about that. Nesian says, the sacrifice through Polygon Network, which shows in PulseX leads. Yep. Billion. And a Pulsexual says, wow, that camera, we can see the pimple on Token's face if he ever gets one. Yeah, I've never really had an issue with that sort of skin issue. So it's always been fairly good. Grant Duncan says, staking Pulse or go into staking Pulse or go into liquidity pools. Well, liquidity pools is a riskier aspect of it, but you get the fees from that. It'll probably be, you've got to take into account permanent losses on that. It's going to be something, it is more riskier than staking Pulse and just getting volume. That's the safer route. So it depends what your risk return is in there. I think typically early on, once you get a US dollar valuation, it might be reasonably good. But yet once again, it's more risk return and permanent losses. Make sure you do some learning around that. Matt and Barley says, hello, boys and girls. Just checking in. Been missing lives last few days. Got a bit happening. Hey, Matt, you keep partying in Bali. I'm sure you're actually working, but, we like to tease you about the Bali bit. So very cool. Keep enjoying yourself. Great to see you jump in. And hi, Matt. Smash the likes button. Yeehaw! Yeah, absolutely yeehaw. So big shout out to everybody. Craig, cheers. And Pulsexual says, Token, do you have nightmares where you're dreaming about hex stats all night? Fortunately, no, I don't actually. I don't, which is quite good. Sometimes I think about, the strategies in the future of which ones to play. I do think about that sometimes. Craig Waiting says, hit the like or I'll tell more dad jokes. Oh, funny. Your jokes aren't dad jokes. Your jokes are actually pretty clever, Craig. So dad jokes are kind of, half funny, aren't they? Aren't they just like kind of half funny? Wake up muttering, no expectations of the work of others. That's right. And Hex all day, thanks for all you do. Hey, Bob, appreciate that. You're most welcome. Aussie says, one day people will stake one Hex and be happy. That's probably true. You could stake a couple of hearts as well. You'll be into staking hearts rather than a full Hex. Was it 100 million hearts to a Hex, something like that? So you could start staking the hearts. And Matt says, in Bali, can I use the logos on PulseX website to do you think? I want to get a few T-shirts made up here in Bali. Now, I have heard Richard talk about branding. He'll probably get used to it. You'll probably get away with that. You'll probably get away with that. Human Hex Trafficker says to Tefrin, yeah, nice. Craig Waiting says, I sent some Hex from Matic Network, and it shows up in my totals too. Nice. So that's great. If you have done Polygon now, obviously, that is the thing. It's now on the PulseX. And you can put your address in the search box there on the top left, and you can see what your actual sacrifice points are indicated as an estimate. So cool. Happy Fridays, guys. Happy Friday to you. It certainly is Friday. Friday, it's currently 5:18 p.m. on Friday here. We are in the future, as you know, in New Zealand, and we enjoy bringing the news from the future to you. That's pretty much it. The master on fire in Bali, absolutely, says Morris. And awesome. So now I can track BNB and my Polygon chain sacrifices that were the ones as ETH fees. One day light robbery, yeah. So obviously Polygon is Polygon and BSC to some extent are a bit of a insight to the future of Pulsechain. I do think the one thing I think that Pulsechain will probably end up with higher fees to deal with bots and stuff like that. I can't remember if Richard's actually talked about that. Obviously with Polygon, they had to raise the GUI from 1 to 30 GUI. And so I'm not sure how Pulsechain will get around that. Interesting enough, Polygon has actually had some congestion lately with GUI going up to 2,000. So we might get some practical issues like that on Pulsechain eventually. And maybe from the start, we could get a lot of bot raids on Pulsechain. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens. Typically, raising the GUI does help reduce that dramatically. We saw that on the Polygon chart. Remember, if you watched a couple of live streams ago, we showed when it fell by like 1 million transactions or something on the Polygon chain. And once they lifted the GUI up, now that may be a function of the GUI, but they sort of had pretty confidence that it was just getting rid of those bot type trades or whatever was going on there. And Jeff says, how does the PulseX staking will work. Well, we don't know if there's going to be any yet. So the DAO might decide that there could be some incentive token for staking PulseX. There might be some third-party solutions. It's probably the only thing. Obviously, the buy and burn is spectacular, but there's the fact that you've got all that volume on the market is the counterbalance to that. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm not aware of anything at the moment. CJ's in the house. Hey, CJ, good to see you. Crypto Fights. So I've seen CJ around a lot of the chats many times. So good to see CJ. Matt says, yeah, boys, busy here. My last night, my partner took me out, and all I got was the bloody bill. Oh, that's hilarious. I bet it was a good bill. Hey, as long as it was a good bill, right? And Grant says, Cura, bro, enjoying your streams. Hey, Cura, right back at you. Kapai, as we say. And Craig Wedding says, Matt and Barley, make your partner buy you some PulseX t-shirts, pay for dinner, lol, yeah. And Matt says, hit the bell, smash the like button, and subscribe for great news not covered by the Backwards Media. That's the way to go. All right, so there we are, folks. That is the result so far. Let's just refresh it and see. We've got over that 986 number. Obviously, we've got Pulsechain there. Yeah, 986. Woohoo! That's how we're rocking on the PulseX Sacrifice. And, man, we've got a long way to go. Can you believe it? About 34 days, I think, by my reckoning, something like that. So very cool. And let's jump into PulseX here. I think that's where we were at last time. So we're currently at $1.80, weren't we? So let me just get this. The only thing about an Apple keyboard, so got the old Apple keyboard with this, is that it's got the old Apple on the back there. Is that it's so small? It's so small. It's very nice, but it's so small compared to my my PC one, which is 4 times bigger. So yeah, got to get used to that. All right, so we're on day 20. What's it? Day 24. Yeah, $1.80. And of course, if you had equivalent to $1, $1 will buy you 5,568 PulseX. And $1.80 to get 10,000. So $1 now. Previously, it cost you 10,000. We're not quite at halfway yet. We've got 2 more days before we get down to. We've got 2 more days before we get down to 5,051. So that would be halfway at $2. It would cost $2 to get 10,000, or $1 to get you 5,051. So 2 days away from that. And of course, we can see that on the Pulse multiplier. That means that people with $1.5 million almost. Are still getting 10,000 PulseX points per dollar. So that's because they got a multiplier of 2 approximately. So very, very cool. That's why the Magic Carpet Ride, when they're up at 4, they must be up at 2.1 or so. That's why they can offer their small sacrifices that have joined them in their pool. They're still getting over 10,000 for $1. So that must be the small players in there must be loving it. They're living the dream, living it like the millionaires in the old Magic Carpet Ride pool there. So it's pretty funny. All right, so cool. That is what's going on there. And of course, if we scroll down further, we're going to go all the way. It's just going to, I say deteriorate, but it sounds a bad word. But it's just going to get. You're going to get a low amount of PulseX as we go through the days, and you can see it's just going to keep falling down. But arguably, how many X's the price is going to go up? You got to do the math, but these rates might be relatively good depending on how many X's keep going up. Remember, Pulsechain sacrifices. I don't know if it's one pulse per dollar now, or maybe less than one. I don't know. I haven't checked, but it's got to be pretty bad. And of course, these are the last couple of days. Then this is the last day, of course, day 54. The volume multiplier on the 20th ends on the 21st at 0000 UTC time, I guess it is, and this UTC time. And then of course then it jumps over the next day, and that's when we move on to the flat rate. So people can no longer compete for the volume multiplier, and they go to the flat rate of 1.75. So therefore 2,147 is the best rate you get there, and that deteriorates too. And down to the final day, 1,767 PulseX points on the last day, day 59 here it's got here. So that's the last one. And of course that would be let me have a look here. So if you're doing $1, you can see on these last couple of days that's actually going 2,147 is going to be better than day day 44, which is around the 11th of February. So after that point, even if you're doing a dollar, would be better. If you've got a multiplier 1.1, that's maybe you're doing $4,500 or something in your total sacrifice. Then if you want to do another top up, you're probably better off waiting after day 45. So sort of see it moves that way, and you're better off just with the flat rate at some stage. So very, very cool. Let's go to the PulseX spreadsheet now. This had been updated. Remember, I stopped using this because not because it wasn't too bad for indicating, but because it hadn't been updated for a little bit. Now it's been updated to the 18th. So even though it's not to the latest day, it's actually not too bad. We can see that the total here is 980, so it's not too bad as an indicative amount. Of course, you got the Pulse Max supply here at 16.8, whereas on the Pulse leads, we got 16.9, so it's not too bad as an indicator. And of course, you got the number of wallets breaking down here. But the cool thing I like about this, obviously, you got the average price showing here as well. So 0.005828. So a lot of people ask around the price, kind of an average, but remember that's weighted to the whales, big whales as well. So take that into account. You got the minimum there at 0.0004, and the maximum 0.000147 it's got there, which is interesting. The mean is at 0.0049, which is basically close to 0.001. And of course, that's the the lowest people sacrificing like $500, something like that is where you're at there. So you got the medium sacrifice $813 mean at 9,352. So these are just two different type of averages. And of course, you can see the addresses here is lower than the amount that we've got on the Pulse lead, 102,764, and it doesn't include Polygon on there because that's the case, which would explain why we've got a jump in a couple of thousand wallets there on this here. It's gone up from, what was it, about 100, I think it was 112,000. It's gone up by 4,000 on there, so take that into account. So that's where that's at the moment. So some good, interesting little numbers there for sure. Let's jump over. I think we're going to look at a few others here. It's got a cool bonding curve. This keeps going on. This is really, I love this bonding curve on there. It's really nice. And of course, the leadership board's got all the accounts there. And of course, if you can scroll up, this is obviously updated to the 18th. It's take to account. It's got a couple of people in there, but you can see the big whale 0.0041. So it's good. Helps you give some idea of the prices. People are asking about that. Do a 10x from 0.001. See whether that price gets on. Obviously, everybody, all the big accounts below that, they've got bigger X's if it goes up 10x for you at 0.001. So take that into account. Very, very cool. It's interesting they got the ownership leagues here, but they didn't have. There's nothing else related to it, so it looks like that wasn't really used at all. So it's pretty interesting stuff there on the PulseX Sacrifice. Let's kind of wrap that up. Let's go into some of the news here. This is some of the broader news. What's impacting the stock market, the crypto markets. We've got this Wall Street rally fizzes as Fed tighten fears spooks investors. So you think about it, we've had like I say, since the Great Recession back in 2008, we've had a lot of money printing. We've had a super long extended low interest rate period. Typically, we used to have interest rate cycles of 7 years that got completely wiped. We've had a very low interest environment. We've had tons of money printing, tons of money buybacks from the Fed, and has been pretty massive. So you can see yesterday again, we had the other day, 2 days ago, we had 500 points retraced. Now we've got a 313 retraced on the Dow Industrial Jones average there. And of course, that's down another 1%. So really getting quite smashed there as well. I don't know why they pop up all these videos, but that's the case. And look at all the leaders here: Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia. They all got strong sell signals on them, or at least recommendations there. So pretty interesting stuff. The other side, commodities. You got oil rising. I mean, it's ridiculous now. And you've got supply shortages in major retailers in the United States and stuff like that going on. It really is looking like a real botch up by who's running that place. But it really, these stuff, most of these problems are problems that got created, not problems that existed, if you know what I mean. They are problems that got created. So there's lots of stuff going on there with that. And obviously that's flowed on to crypto. So that's what's happened to crypto. I'm not sure if we're going to jump onto that. I'm just going to pull that out, and we might just jump over to Nomics. PulseX.com. Pull it up. All right. So yeah, the market has also been dramatically impacted. Look at that global market cap now, 1.91 trillion. We were over 3 trillion on this. Remember, over 3 trillion. Now we're down to 1.19, and it's down 7%. So it really is getting smashed. Bitcoin 38,884. These are broken psychological levels. 40k, 3,000k. These are very important. That basically suggests that these are going to keep going down for a little bit. People are talking about the fact that they thought that might be on, might have another up there, and that they might get, go up. ETH might rebound up to 4k, maybe 5k again, but really doesn't look ominous now. It looks like the monetary policy issue is taking over. So that's very important there to be happening. So a lot of value is going to get wiped off these cryptos, folks. You know how it rolls. The bull market's fantastic, huge creation of value. But when we start getting this bear market stuff going on, this is kind of one of the worst things. I think at the moment, it's like one of the worst things that you could get is the monetary policy is a big deal. And because this is what they inflate the monetary supply. People take that money, they then speculate in stocks and crypto, and they push up the asset values. Their balance sheets look fantastic. And of course, everything's good. And that's been going year after year after year. And the interest rates have been low. So you can borrow money super low, and you can outdo it in these asset speculations, which push up the values. That's basically what happens, right? And of course, when you start winding that back in, it really creates a big problem. So let's read just a little bit of the review here. A rebound on Wall Street fizzled on Thursday as investors lost conviction that an early rally had legs, and with the Nasdaq falling more than 1% and crude oil prices hitting fresh 7 years highs to rekindle fears of inflation and high interest rates. Now, it's not rekindled fears of inflation. Inflation is happening. Okay, it's not rekindled. So this is just a typical controlled writing, but inflation is happening. As I said earlier, US inflation's up around about 5.5% last time I checked. Canadian inflation is like 4.5%. Really is starting to kick in. Higher interest rates seem to be inevitable, and of course that's going to make things worse. It's going to make things worse. So it's going to retract a lot of different markets. It's going to be pretty bad, and that's going to hit the stock markets and the crypto markets first, right? And then hit real markets a little bit delayed, as that people have particular loan terms. They have particular floating amounts of their balance sheet that's floating, and those are the ones that get hit first, right? Because the fixed rates go through a year, 6 months, a year, 3 years, whatever. It takes a while to come out. They're not really affected until they come out of their interest rates. If you have revolving credit facilities, that can often be reflected as well in real-time interest rates. So you see how it just starts to snowball once it goes up. So they've got to be careful how high they go. At first, they could be just trying to contain the market, get some solutions before we start doing the stuff. But I don't think that's going to happen. So concern that the Federal Reserve will aggressively raise rates this year is taking taking a toll on the market. Investors are anxiously awaiting U.S. central bank's policy meeting next week for new details of how it will tackle inflation. Now, some people are thinking that the number of rises, maybe 2 or 3 rises, may give a 20% retrace in the stock market. So that's bad, but it's not really bad, right? So we'll see whether the market can absorb these interest rate rises as they typically do, because typically markets will overshoot the news, right? They'll overshoot what's happening. So crude prices initially eased before climbing to fresh 7-year highs. The major Wall Street indices sharply pared gains of more than 1%, close to that much lower. The week's big rally in U.S. Treasury yields also showed signs of resuming. The rally looks strong on the surface when you look at prices being higher, said Michael James, Managing Director of Equities Trading. There are more people since the beginning of the year inclined to be sellers or on weakness for fear that things are going to go further. And they have been going down further, so it's not like, it hasn't been. Strong earnings reports initially helped lift stocks on the back of broad rally, while the major indices in Europe also gained. So there's a couple of things going on there. Also, US stocks turned negative late in the session, and so stuff like that. So it just keeps going on. Very, very cool. Investors have been concerned about rising rates because they raise borrowing costs and could dent global growth prospects and douse the earnings outlook for companies. So that's the sort of stuff that's going on. Chair Jerome Powell will stick to the Fed's message of tighter monetary policy next week as inflation has become a hot political issue and so on. So you can see how it goes. There's no reason for him to, at the moment, to deviate from what has clearly been a more hawkish script. That runs the risk of markets maybe getting more nervous next week, and so on and so on. So you can see some of the stuff is starting to play out. Now, how far it goes is another question. I just tend to think that inflation is starting to spiral out of control. Supply problems are a big issue. Labor not going back to work. You know, the great employment. People not working, and particularly in industrial big countries like US and stuff like that has risen. So it's going to be interesting to see all this play out, right? Very, very cool. So now we've got the markets pulling back, and I think Hex is going to hold up pretty well. I think Hex is going to be where people want to go. It's so good that Hex is in USD primarily. I think that's a really cool thing. Even though it's down 8% today, I think that's really because of like I say, the big accounts having sold some rather than following the markets is what I would say about that. Very, very cool. All right, let's get into some of the comments here, and I'm going to jump back to the Hex price and pull it up. Bam. And see how we're doing. An hour and 20 minutes. Hey, typically I finish at an hour and 20 minutes. So let's go through some of the comments. We'll probably end up here once I've gone through these. Nijin says ETH fines. ETH fines, not fees. Right. And Pulsexual says, thanks for your work, Token. You rock, bro. Hey, appreciate that, Pulsexual. And a lot of thanks, Craig. Will do. Karpai says, Craig, Karpai, absolutely good food. Karpai. Karpai Kai. Craig Welling says, or did he say cow pie? Cow pie. Karpai Kai, good food. Jeff says, would you mind explaining what this new update represents and what the benefits of PulseX value? Well, it just represents what people sacrifice, right? So it's actually determining a cost price for Pulse. People know what the cost price is for Pulses. We went through the median prices and stuff like that, the top and the maximum and minimum. So that's probably the most benefit from it from the sacrifice point of view. It also reflects, of course, the fact that this is a way of allocating PulseX as a free airdrop. It's also a fact of making Pulse and PulseX and not a security through the Howey test or Howey law. So there's a couple of the things. Hopefully that answers your question there, Jeff. Matt, also it's not no expectations for work of others, but potentially a lot of that US dollar stables may be used to support the project in some form, maybe through liquidity pools, maybe through liquidity for the bridge, maybe through supporting the peers, I said that liquidity pools, or maybe through a bit of marketing. Who knows? No work expectation. Others, the closest thing we got to Richard saying something about that was saying, "Oh, look, we got over 600 million. We got too much money. Maybe I have a feeling I might look to spend something." That was kind of the closest thing that we've got from Richard about that. Matt says, "Sorry, my comment was messed up." That's all right. And Hex Polster says, "Hey, buddy, great to catch you live, big guy. Yeah, hey, heard RH said PLS will go live in 6 to 7 weeks. Sounds great. Did you hear this? What are your thoughts? Will we get a Hex pump for? Thanks, Hex. Hey, Hex Polster, that sounds really good. That's kind of where we're sitting at the moment. That's where our expectations are, with the March launch. And that's why I do that timeline, because I try to get all the information we know on there. I do listen very carefully to his videos and his wording. And that's what that is. I haven't got that up today because I have got to reset that up on this computer. But yeah, if you've got a link for that, let me know. Maybe give me a video that it was on, or whatever you look. Maybe I haven't seen that one, but that's pretty much similar to his previous comments. Like I said, the last couple of videos, he's been very upbeat about the updates, and he seems to be very comfortable, and that's great to see. It's not good when you see the visionary leader stressed or a little bit of concern. So it's actually he's been actually very, very on the front foot. So it's been very gives it a lot of confidence. It's very cool. Brendan says, shout out to my mate, Calop in Nelson, New Zealand. Yeah, big shout out to Nelson. Nelson's a beautiful little place in the South Island. So is it? Yeah, Nelson? Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. I sometimes get myself confused where places are, so that's all right. Hex Posse says, who the heck would go with the magic carpet ride? Gee, I hope they get their money back. They look like cool guys, but gee, a lot of risky business. That's right. I always point that out. It is a very cool thing to get the high multiplier, but you are putting, it's not your coins, not your keys, related to the sacrifice. Now, obviously, once you sacrifice, you're sacrificing for the freedom of association and stuff like that. But the reality is, it is tagged to your wallet, not to someone else's wallet. So, yeah, but they do seem like great guys. That does look like they're setting it up very well. Yeah, wish them all the best. Hopefully it's going to be a great story rather than a sad story. At the moment, you got to be on the side of a good story at this stage until it's not, right? Matt in Bali says, why are there so many people, friends, still these days who scratch their head when you tell them what you made and cashed out? They reply, it's not real. You can't cash it. You can't touch it, lol. I don't know. A lot of people just don't understand the cryptocurrency markets. Really is the majority of people still on their phones at the cafe doing other things, doing things that is completely clueless. They're selling their time working at places and stuff like that. That's just the way it goes. Ramon says, dude, a lot of us went in on the Magic Carpet ride, Paul. Hey, Ramon, that's all very good. I think he's just talking about the fact that that there is the obvious risk. But I think that you guys probably do well, and of course, but the risk still remains. Matt in Bali says most investments you don't touch: gold in the vault, house somebody else lives in, money in the bank, on plastic, stocks on the internet. I think 90% of investments you don't touch or see. That's correct. And a lot of the big whales won't be able to sell out. Some of them will. Some of them will try and cash out $50 million or whatever. But that we will get those sort of events. Brennan says they will buy when the rest of the herd flows into crypto. They will. So it's still early days. I always say that. I reckon we're about halfway into adoptions. I think right into the early mid 30s, you're going to see sort of crypto start maturing, not just from the technology, but from adoption. It should take that long, like 30 years, basically, maybe 25, 30 years. Brennan says, yeah, they will buy when the rest of the herd flow. Yeah, that's right. They always come in last. Matt and Barley says, yep, true. They can buy 20% of mine at 100x. Yeah. David says, Bitcoin is being shorted now as it sits in publicly traded companies. It's not all US policy shorts are causing this rapid decline. Look at the annual Bitcoin chart. It was dipping same time last year. Yeah, so we do get a bit of that in January too. January is pretty horrific like that. So very cool. Typically, what was it, March, April? I don't even have that chart up, but maybe I'll cover that in the next one. I've got that over here, but we jump into Bitcoin now. Let's do that. How we doing on time? Sounds all right. All right, so let me do all time, and then we do weekly maybe. Let me do monthly. So I've got enough data on there. I've got the monthly chart all time. Let's pull up. So, January. I've got daily on there. Month. March 21. So January. Well, actually, January, we're up to there. Yeah, January actually we had a sell-off in January 21. We were down there. Obviously, we had the emergence of the new news coming in late January, but we did have a sell-off there. Am I on the right chart? I'm pretty sure I'm on the right chart. Yeah. We're at 40, and then we went down to 29 in January. So we might get a nice little rise up in February, March, April. I was thinking that's when we had a pretty good time way back here. So let me have a look at the chart. Yeah, so we had this. Early January we had a sell-off. We actually had a bit of a rally in mid-January and then a sell-off towards the end of January. So yeah, January has not really been good many times. I'm just trying to think. It hasn't been good on 2018. And obviously 2019 was pretty average, just moving sideways. 2020, we did have a rally in a bit of a 2020. Obviously, then we had the big coof news, as we like to call it, which sent it down, and then obviously we started rallying pretty massive after that. So pretty crazy stuff there. All right, so we're at 39,000, folks. Not cool. Not cool at all. We've had 3 downs. 3 downs there. It's a 51, 44, and we've smashed that. 39. Looks like, man, oh man, where's some support there? 37.5. And of course, last time we did this 30K, remember that? That was when people thought it was really going to smash down. So, maybe 30, 38, 30, it might be a little bit of support there. Maybe in here, 35, and then 31 to 30 is kind of the next one. So we'll see whether it decides to stop. But at the moment, the news is pretty bleedy with the old interest rates. So we'll watch to see that play out for sure. Hex is sitting at 20 cents though. Hey, gotta love that. All right, let us get into it. Let's get to the final. I think that's the end of the chats there. An hour and 30. That's pretty good place to finish. Hope you guys enjoyed it on my new iMac 24 M chip with a built-in audio. Was it the studio sound mic, which I think is a lot clearer for most people. Obviously, you can't please all the people all the time, but as long as you get up from say 70% up to 99%, that's pretty good. All right, take care, everybody. I'm going to sign off here. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, and catch me in the next one. I'm going to be doing some new, different type of content as well. So I look forward to that soon. Watching. Got a little small keyboard. I got to type the things here. Very, very cool. All right. Appreciate everyone coming. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got to hit towards 3,000 subscribers. Definitely got to do that. Matt and Barley says 2018 January I did an absolute moon landing, but then crashed hard all the way through the cycle. Yeah, through the cycle. That's right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good stream, says Hex Huddle, and cheers again, mate. Says Brent. Very cool. I got to jump over to the other one now and put in the into some of the emojis. So nice, and I'll post that. Bam! Look at that. All right, so very cool. Hey, smash the button, and thanks for your content. No problem, Matt. Hey, enjoy yourself, and Barley, of course, I know you do. And big shout out to everybody there. Big shout out to the Hex Token channel members. I always appreciate your support. And of course, big shout out to all the subscribers. It really is cool. And we're going to head towards 3,000 subs. It's going to be on the way. 2,700 is where we want to hit to. Maybe I hit it during this live stream. Who knows? Let's go. Let me go in my studio and see where we hit 2,700 subs. Why not? Let's do it. Let's do it and jump over here. No, 2,689. So get on there and sub. I need 11 more subs to get 2,700. I know you guys can do it. If you haven't subbed, please do that. It'd be great. And catch me tomorrow, everybody. And bye for now. Signing off from my new iMac. Very, very cool. All right.